The long-awaited moment is here. Special counsel Robert Mueller has delivered his final report to the Department of Justice. As of now, we don't know what's in it. It hasn't been made public. Mueller and his team of prosecutors have been investigating Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election and any potential links to the Trump campaign. Here with me now are Capitol Hill and our White House correspondents, Lisa Desjardins and Yamiche Alcindor. So hello to both of you. We've been waiting for this moment. Lisa, as I turn to you to hear about how this report was delivered, I want to say that there are now multiple news organizations who are reporting that the special counsel is not recommending any further indictments. So that is the only detail that we've been made aware of so far. But what do we know about the delivery of these documents to the Department of Justice?
Just in the past 2 hours, Congress received this letter. These are the 4 leaders of the House and Senate Judiciary Committees were notified by the Attorney General right there. I want to pull out a couple of quotes from this. One at the top, you see, he wrote, "The special counsel has submitted to me today a confidential report explaining the prosecution of declination decisions." And then Acting Attorney General Barr writes, "I may be in a position to advise you of the special counsel's principal conclusions," this is important, "as soon as this weekend." Also notes, there were no instances that the Attorney General objected to conclusions, methods, or recommendations by Mr. Mueller. The Attorney General has the right to review the report and decline to forward prosecutorial recommendations, those kinds of things. Here the Attorney General is saying, I had no disagreements like that with Mr. Mueller, and that's very significant because already we're seeing this on more firm ground, at least in the Justice Department.
Because there were questions about whether there might be interference on the part of the Attorney General, who was appointed by President Trump and is overseeing this investigation. So, Yamiche, the White House has word of this. What are they saying?
Well, the White House is so far saying that they are waiting for the next steps. But the biggest thing here is that there are no further indictments being recommended. That's a big deal. Allies of the president are saying that that's evidence that this is really a waste of time, that in 2 years they didn't indict anybody for obstructing justice or for colluding with Russia. The president has not yet spoken, but I want to turn to a bite that interview that he gave to Fox News where he talked about the fact that there's no collusion. He's called it a witch hunt, but let's hear what he had to say.
I have a deputy appoints a man to write a report on me to make a determination on my presidency. People will not stand for it. Now, with all of that being said, for 2 years we've gone through this nonsense because there's no collusion with Russia. You know that better than anybody. And there's no obstruction. They'll say, oh, well, wait, there was no collusion. That was a hoax. But he obstructed in fighting against the hoax, okay?
Now, sources close to President Trump and their reports that he is happy and glad that this is over. This, of course, has been a 2-year cloud over his presidency. After the midterms, when he started talking about what was going to be next and what legislatively he could do with a democratically controlled Congress, he started talking about investigations. He started talking very quickly about the Mueller probe and about the idea that people were after him and thought that because he was someone who was not expected to win, that he was not a legitimate president. So he's always looked at the Mueller probe with some really angry eyes. But Sarah Sanders, the White House press secretary, has responded again. We're still waiting for the president to tweet. And if that happens on the air, someone will hopefully tell us. But I want to read out Sarah Sanders' tweet, which is, the next steps are up to Attorney General Barr, and we look forward to the process taking its course. The White House has not received or been briefed on the special counsel's report. That means the White House doesn't really know much more than us at this point. I'm told that Secretary Nielsen, which of course was the head of the Department of Homeland Security, she was at Trump Hotel. She had no idea that this was coming. There are multiple people around the president who really didn't know of the timing of this. Just today, I was on the White House lawn, and we asked the president, when do you think the Mueller report is going to be released? He said, I have no idea. I will also turn, though, to another ally of the president, Corey Lewandowski. He's someone who was in the orbit of the president, someone that maybe people thought might get indicted for colluding with Russia. He said the witch hunt is over. Make the report public. That echoes what the president has been saying. He said on the lawn at the White House while I was there, this was yesterday, saying that the Mueller report should be released to the public. We don't know if that's going to happen, though.
Important, the point they're making about not knowing when this was coming, what's in it, because they want to make it clear to say to the world, we didn't have anything to do with this. We were independent. Lisa, we've seen a letter from the Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate, Speaker Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. They are saying make the report entirely public.
That's right. And in fact, Judy, it's interesting. I've got that statement right here. They're saying this investigation was focused on questions that go to the integrity of our democracy. And they write, the American people have a right to the truth. And it's notable, Judy, that the House voted 420 to nothing to say that that the full House of Representatives believes this report should be released in public. The Senate did not take that vote. Why? Senator Lindsey Graham, who is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, blocked that vote because he said he has concerns about the Clinton investigation. He was trying to leverage that vote into another new special counsel. But the point is the Senate has not voted on this idea yet. Every Senate statement I see tonight says they would like a public release. Obviously, we see the Attorney General Barr thinking about this over the weekend, preparing at least to brief leaders and then decide what he will release to the public. It is his decision.
Do we know at this point whether there will be a briefing tonight or when it will happen? Other than saying, I hope to have more this weekend?
I do not have that reporting, but I would expect that there are staffers on Capitol Hill being briefed tonight. And we do know from leaders, they are saying they expect briefings soon, if not this weekend.
And Yamiche, I was going to say, the president has been saying it should be made public, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
The reason why we should take the president saying this should be made public with a large grain of salt is because the president also said he was going to sit down with Robert Mueller. He said, I wanted to sit down. I want to sit down with an interview. I want to be able to defend myself. In fact, he never did that. Instead, he sent in written statements to a very small number of questions. He did not want to talk about Russian collusion and all sorts of other things. I also want to read a text because I'm texting with Rudy Giuliani as we're on air, so excuse that. But I said, is there any reaction to Mueller not recommending any more indictments? And he wrote, it sounds like it's over. So this is, again, an ally of the president, of course, the president's personal lawyer, saying this is all meaning that we are clear. We're in the clear that the president, what he's been saying over the last 2 years, this vindicates him. Now, that's really early to say because we don't exactly know what's in the report, but at least the Trump camp is saying that.
All right. And Lisa, back to these reports, again, multiple news organizations saying it's their information that this Mueller report does not recommend any more indictments. There have been indictments. If there aren't any more, if that is borne out to be the case, we don't know whether that includes the president. We know there's some debate about whether or not a sitting president can be indicted.
That's correct. So it's not clear. Are there things in this report that raise questions about the president that Democrats will look into further in Congress? It seems that we've known all along that Special Counsel Mueller has known more than anyone else in Washington about the activities of the Trump campaign and the president himself. What does this report reveal? An indictment might not be the only issue here for the president. I will raise a summary of what's happened. Let's just to back up of what Mueller's done. This investigation, Mueller was appointed 675 days ago, May of 2017. So it's been quite a while, not quite 2 years. And by my count, he has so far indicted, and if in fact this is the full list of indictments, 34 people as part of this probe. The vast majority of them are Russian nationals. And those have not been brought into courts here in the United States. They've been indicted here, while many of them are overseas. And then the others, the Americans who've been indicted as part of this, most of them have taken plea deals as part of this as well. Right now, it looks like Paul Manafort may be the person who has the largest sentencing time. Roger Stone, Michael Cohen, we'll see what happens with them in future cases as well.
Of course, these are individuals who've had a close relationship with the president. All right, Lisa, Yamiche, we're going to ask you to stand by as we continue to follow these fast-moving developments.